Hello again. Welcome into another edition of Musings from the Mountains. I am Keenan Cummings, managing editor of WVSports.com, and your host of the show. I'm joined by Jared Serre, who is my staff writer. Spring game was yesterday, so let's just cut to the chase and dive right into it. I'm going to throw this to you to start, Jared. If you had to pick out one or two things that stood out to you immediately, well, let's scrap that. First, let's just get it out of the way. Let's talk about the quarterbacks. What stood out to you? What did you see? Because obviously, I know West Virginia returns their starter in Jarret Doege, but a lot of people believe there's a competition going on here. So, what did you see to support or perhaps challenge that notion?
Well, so first off, I'm really glad that our friends on the blue line aren't overreacting to the performance of Garrett Green, for better or worse. I think we saw Garrett Green with the blue team a little bit, the second string, if you will. I thought he looked sharp at times. I thought he looked abysmal at times, but abysmal, maybe not necessarily the right word, more showing his youth. He tried to force a lot of throws. I felt like one of them, one deep ball he had picked off by Daryl Porter. I think they've been close this spring, him and incumbent Jarret Doege. I think after the spring game, Garrett Green's youth kind of is accentuated a little more, and you see that, hey, he has a lot of skills and a lot of potential, but he's not really there yet. I don't think they'll shun him, obviously, but I think we are further away from seeing him than most people expect.
I look at it like this, kind of an eye of the beholder type situation. If you just read the blue lot, you can tell. I mean, if you wanted Garrett Green to be the starting quarterback, you thought he had a great day. You thought he extended the pocket, did the things that we've talked about him doing, using his athleticism all spring, displayed a strong arm down the field. If you like Jarret Doege and kind of what he's done, he manages the offense. He was much more consistent. I don't think you can't even argue that. Getting the ball out, had a couple nice throws that were dropped too, including one that would have been a touchdown. So I think that when you look at it that way, there's pros and cons of both. Here, I mean, let's just cut to the chase. In my opinion, I think Garrett Green has the highest upside of the two. I don't think that's a question. No one's ever going to argue that. I think it's
Yeah, I agree. I don't think anybody would doubt that. Especially you see him running around, and the athleticism that Garrett Green possesses is so much more than Jarret Doege could ever hope to have. It's like watching Vince Young and Peyton Manning, for lack of a better term. You know what you get from Peyton Manning, a pocket passer. That's Jarret Doege. But Vince Young, he could throw the ball in his prime. He could scamper all around the field. It's a very two different quarterbacks, as we've mentioned a lot of times before.
Yeah, you look at the two. I think that no one's arguing that, and I think it's funny when people. I mean, even when I'm replying to people on the message board and stuff, they think almost like I'm saying Jarret Doege is the long-term answer. I'm not. What I'm saying is Jarret Doege has been more consistent this spring and what we've been able to see. I think if you had to put a gun to the head right now, if you ask Neil Brown, which quarterback is going to put you in the best position to win games this year, he's probably going to say Jarret Doege right now. He doesn't make mistakes. Obviously, that limits some of what you can do on offense, but that doesn't mean if Garrett does not win the job, there isn't a place for him. I think there's packages for him. There's a way they can use him. I'll be interested to see how it all turns out, in the end. But I came out of the spring game kind of feeling exactly like I felt heading into it. I think Jarret Doege is what he is, but what he is when he's on is a consistent player that can get you wins in this league. I know, obviously, everyone is just the bowl games has everyone scarred, and Iowa State game, but nobody got off the bus in that one. But if you look at the rest of his resume, he played solid enough for West Virginia to win games.
Yeah,
and I think that
go ahead.
I think that is what you need out of him. He's not going to win you games, but he's also not going to lose you them, which, Neil mentioned that early in the spring, and that really kind of miffed people in a sense. But I think when you look at it long-term potential, Garrett's dynamic, Garrett's athletic. He has a strong arm, as we saw in his toss to Caden Prather yesterday. All that stuff was known already. It's the consistency and learning how to play within the system, because It doesn't matter if a guy can run around and generate a lot of yards or move the pocket if he can't throw the football to his team or do it accurately. So I think that's where we're at. If he's able to hit that stride and make that progression, I think that he has a real chance to challenge in the fall. If not, I think you'll probably see Jarrett Doege out there and maybe some packages for Garrett Green.
Yeah, and
Other things in the spring.
if I could jump in real quick, I think the important thing real quick that you just touched on is, in the fall. It's April right now. We've got summer, we've got fall. For all you guys in the Jarrett Doege sucks, Garrett Green's our savior camp, sky is not falling. You've got time. Take a break, pour yourself a drink, relax, and get ready for September 4th at Maryland. Be a much more different team than the one you're watching right now.
Yeah, and you have to give Garrett a lot of credit too, because he came a long way. I mean, already having a real off season has really helped him. And I think that we're so quick. I mean, I don't mean just us in general, us or West Virginia fans. Us as a society are so quick to judge these kids. If they don't make an impact their first year, their second year, even sometimes their third year, you're a bust. I point to Sean Mahone. He's a perfect example. Sometimes it takes guys longer to develop, and you've seen it throughout time at quarterback. There's plenty of redshirt juniors that have stepped in and had excellent 2 years careers. So there's a lot of football left for all these guys, and it's way too quick to judge, what you have in Garrett Green or Will Crowder at this point. There's a lot left to play out. In terms of other things that stood out to me, I think we'd be remiss if we didn't mention Daryl Porter. All the talk all spring was Jackie Matthews. Daryl Porter had an excellent game, including an interception. Really made some plays on the ball, was good in coverage. I thought he stood out. Vandarius Cowan to me. I think he's on the precipice of a monster season if he can actually keep it together. And I know you out there that have read my content know I'm usually pumping the brakes on him because I don't think he ever really had it. I put it all together. Kind of like I mentioned earlier. I feel like he has now. And I do feel like if he stays healthy, that's a guy that could have a monster year. Anybody else stand out to you, Jared? Anything that you want to discuss?
Well, just touching on Cowan real quick, it's funny being an Alabama transfer. I think he's in a similar position to TJ Simmons in the sense that, arguably or potentially the last season for Vandarius Cowan coming up in the college game. Is he gonna, tear up the Big 12? Personally, I don't think so. But I think this is probably the first year that he's been here that, hopefully he stays healthy. And I think you will get, quality time from him in the linebacker core. Also, I was a big fan of Caden Prather yesterday in the spring game. I'm one of those people that I'm not the best with X's and O's. I mean, when I played football, I was a lineman. All I was told was go block that guy. I was never told, you're going to run this route because of this. But watching Caden Prather yesterday, I was so excited. And I know I get excited for, skill position players all the time. But him and Garrett Green, they were really meshing really well. And I was kind of surprised with, Prather's only been on campus for almost 4 or 5 months now. He looks sharp. I think the potential is bright with him and really just that Green Prather duo. I'm really excited to see, probably not this year, but in years ahead, what they're able to accomplish together.
Yeah, I'm right at the head of the Caden Prather fan club. I have been since he signed. I'm right up there with Keem Mesidor, but I'm very, very apprehensive to push guys early because I feel like, as I mentioned earlier, we kind of set up for unreasonable expectations.
Yeah.
So I'm taking it baby steps, but if you look at the guy, he looks like $1 million, plays like it too. I'm very interested to see how he mixes in with the rotation this year. I don't think he's going to start necessarily, but I do think there's room there for him to have a big role on the outside.
Yeah, I don't think real quick. I don't think a Sam Brown type role is out of the question. I mean, it's kind of similar to what I wrote in my I've got 5 on it for the spring game. I think he is that guy in the wide receiver room he's a new fresh set of hands. He's exciting a lot of people early on. I think they'll use that, Jared Parker and Neil Brown. I think they will use that and try to get him some playing time early. But as we've seen, it's very possible that he might just get lost in the shuffle. That is a very deep position group. So, I mean, who knows? But he's definitely – I think you can do worse at the position, but I don't think you can do much better if you're West Virginia right now than Caden Prather.
Yeah, I'm high on Sam Brown too. He's a guy that I think that he has unlimitless potential if he hits it. I think he's going to be a very good player as well. These guys kind of get lost in the shuffle because Sam was in and out of the lineup. Caden's new. You think about what these guys could be in a couple years, and man, that room is exciting if you're able to keep them all together. Remember, it's the era of the transfer portal. You don't know if guys going to be there week from week anymore. Forget year to year. So, looking at it from this coming year, I think West Virginia's got a deep room there. They're ready to kind of show they can catch the ball and take the next step. I think that's what they have to be able to do.
Well, and especially when you look at it, the only sure thing at the wide receiver position is really Winston Wright. I mean, Bryce Ford Wheaton and Sam James both have struggled with drops. They are obviously, the leaders on that first team, coming out of the spring. But I don't think Jared Parker is in love with really sticking anybody there outside of Winston Wright. I don't think Jared Parker is in love with sticking people there and just saying, hey, don't worry about what's coming up behind you. You're our guy. Sam Brown's now got a year of experience, Caden Prather, all these guys.
Isaiah Isdale,
yeah, another one. That definitely will be factors at some point. We'll definitely see some playing time without question.
well, good stuff, man. We'll be back with you. As we said, we've gotten on a regular schedule now. Apologize for some of you listening. We've had some technical difficulties. Blame it on my internet. Not the greatest, but I do.
With that being said, if anybody would like to start a GoFundMe to fund Musings from the Mountains production quality, we will not turn it down.
Yeah, looking forward to when we can get back in person as opposed to the Zoom variety. But thank you for tuning in again. We do appreciate it. We'll be back later this week for kind of a recap on what's going on with West Virginia sports.